What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to SCSL Season 4. We're here for round of 16. We've got Royal versus Killer here in match number 2. And we've got a lineup here, or excuse me, we've got the map selection page for you guys this time. And did the liberty of translating that. We've got Deja Vu. That's going to be Royal's first pick. Then it's going to go to Killer, Eclipse, Radon, back to Royal, Dominator for Killer, and then we're going to end things on Metropolis. If we do make it that far, map ban for Royal was Death Valley. Map ban for Killer, Polestar today, guys. So, taking a look at these maps, Xun, and these two players, what do you think is going to happen in this series?
I mean, I do think that Royal is going to get the better end of the trades in this matchup. Killer, it's not quite his best matchup, you could say. He has got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He's got a lot of mind games, very high execution-oriented player, so we could definitely pull the wool over Royal's eyes in this series. But doing that in a best of 5 is a little bit trickier than something like a best of 1, best of 3. So my money would definitely be, scaling towards more the Royal end of the spectrum in that regard. Royals also won an ASL but since a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now. That was 2022 ASL season 14 against Rush in the finals. So he's definitely a very accomplished player, and he's a lot better in versus than he is versus Protoss. So I'm definitely favoring Royal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Royal has been putting out a lot of great games recently, but has tended to falter against the stronger players. I'm not sure I would favor him to win this tournament, but I think he should give us a good show here versus Killer. Guys, without further ado, let's jump right in to our first game. Here we go. Here it is. We've got Royal. Over here in the bottom right-hand corner, we got Killer in top right. Yellow and purple. Nice contrast there. Getting into this TVZ. Looks like Royal going to be sending out his first SCV, start a wall in at the front. No surprise there.
8 Rex, I think. It's going to be an 8 Rex. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be an 8 Rex. Never mind. You made that supply depot even a little bit later. Look at 150 mirrors. And look at this from Killer. He's already footballing. Really trying to set the tone this game. Football very strong against anything that's like a wall in, CC first, even 8 racks is pretty good. So, I mean, Royal has to pull every single SCV to defend against this, and it is close positions, it's not cross map, so there is a strong likelihood this 4-pool could work, though if Royal does identify it with a bit of a scout early on, and he pulls every single worker to the line, he can still hold this.
Yeah, this is kind of an outdated build for sure. Royal gonna send his SCV, and it will scout the correct direction. Oh wait, he sees the drone. Okay, he might change direction here. Okay, yeah, gonna send it over to the top left. That's very big. This drone really throwing off Royal.
Yeah, he thought that was like a cross-map 9 drone scout, so he might be expecting this to be something like a cheesy 7 pool or 9 pool. He probably doesn't expect the 4 pool necessarily, especially not coming from the top right with the way the drone kind of did a bit of a wiggle in the middle of the board, then came to the bottom right on the diagonal axis, made it look he was top left. Now the Ling's going to circumnavigate that scouting SCV, and he could do a lot of damage here potentially. Royal will have to now start to pull all the SCVs and get all hands on deck to try and defend against this, and there's a strong window now for Killer to make this. Oh, the Lings are bugged out, they can't get through the gap. Oh no, they were kind of body blocking each other, and 2 can't fit through at one time. It's kind of the thing that Terran players have to contend with a lot when microing against Zealots, and it comes back to haunt Killer. Now he can set up the wall in on this Marine. He needs to make sure he keeps wrapping around these Marines, but he does get good surround on one of those Marines and kills them, but now this is looking very Royal favored.
We had a 3 Stooges situation there with all the Lings kind of body blocking each other. Another nice block there. Royal gets another SCV on. This is all but done. GG gonna be called here. Killer taps out. Wow, a very quick game number 1, guys. Oh my goodness. Killer going for the 4-pool, Matt, just so rarely works out. I'm really surprised to see him go for it there.
Right. I mean, I think that would have worked had the Lings didn't just body block each other trying to get in there. I think that's what gave Royal a few precious seconds to get his SCVs and bring them to bear and start surrounding those Marines. I think if Killer didn't make that mistake and was more mindful of how he was slipping his links into that position, it's kind of like I was saying about Terran players and they micro their Marines versus Zealots. Sometimes they're really lazy and they just click the Marine to go through. But there's two Marines, they try and both go through at the same time. They will not allow the other one to get to the gap. It's a very tight little hole. So unfortunately, can't quite get the double penetration on that gap and will be punished. And now Killer in a little bit of a deficit to try and overcome. And we're going to be going into Eclipse.
All right, let's jump right in. No more 4 pools, Killer. You got to play a straight-up game, even though it's against Royal. He's definitely feeling the pain after that one. Trying to get a very quick win here versus Royal. Not going to happen. What's his follow-up? What's his backup plan here, Killer, on Eclipse? Is it going to be going crazy? He's stopped on 8 drones. We're going to see, okay, 9 drones here. Is he going to go for a 9 pull speed? I'm expecting something else weird from Killer. He certainly doesn't feel confident in this match, opening 4 pool.
No, I think what I was saying earlier is true, where he can pull the wool over Royal's eyes, but doing so in a best of 5 is a little difficult. So he's trying to get a quick win on the board to then basically turn it into a best of 3 where his shenanigans are more likely to pay off. Unfortunately, though, that came back to haunt him, as now he's got a deficit to overcome. I don't think it's going to be a 9 pull. I think this is probably just going to be like a 2-hatch muta build. But what variation of that remains to be seen. This could be 11 pull into 2-hatch muta. Could also just be a straight up 12-hatch 2-hatch muta. We don't know exactly what kind of variation Killer's going to go for here. Could even be a 2.5 hatch, although he doesn't really favor that too often. He's much more of a standard, fast tech into lair and try and squeeze out as many mutas as possible early on by just doing a straight up 2-hatch.
Well, all the options are open here for Killer. Just going for this 12 hatchery opener and not getting punished here initially anyway. His Overlord is in a bit of a tough spot. Wants to get it over towards that natural, but there is going to be a bit of danger as he moves in that direction. Optimizing for that 2-hatch Mutalist style, at least so far. Hasn't added on any drones before getting that gas, and so they're going to come up here and block the ramp. Really doesn't want to allow Royal to see how quickly that gas was taken. And simultaneously sending his Overlord. Wait, is he sending that? Okay, yeah, he is. A little brown on the minimap there. It's hard to tell if that thing's moving, but it is indeed moving over into safety, into a safer position so that Royal can't snipe that early on.
Yeah, and you kind of have to do that on this map. If you just try and send it straight across to the diagonal position to get that natural scout, the Marines will very often intercept that and kill it, especially if it's like an 8 racks or a 10 racks. It's kind of problematic on this map. You have to be a little bit more cautious. You can see that Overlord just barely making it to the safety at that 6 o'clock position with that scouting Marine trying to force it away and make it harder to get into that scouting pocket in the natural of the Terran. Pretty quick gas here from Royal. I'm curious, are we going to be seeing a bit of a 1-1-1 build from him? He could be throwing down a factory soon and going straight into Valkyries or something. He might be anticipating a very heavy muta commitment from Killer in this game, and a 1-1-1 into Valkyries or something, or even a proxy factory actually. Okay, Royal going to be turning up the heat in the game.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is kind of what you're looking for as Killer. You want to get that Overlord over the natural. You want to see if there's any Marines being produced, and you can see that there really isn't much of that production going on. So he knows there's something else happening. It's probably a factory, and there should be a vulture coming, but he's got to be mindful of the possibility of a proxy factory like this. You have to put down your sunken colony quite a bit quicker. Yeah, he sees only 2 Marines here, and he should be suspicious for sure. Should be throwing down this sunken, but it's just not there, and he might take a good deal of punishment because of this.
Well, I hope he's got ling speed, because you can't just not make the sunken and not get ling speed if you don't see this many Marines. This would be a very big mistake from Killer to not identify that. He sees this, there's the ling speed, so that's his safety. He's kind of like hedging his bets and saying, well, I've got ling speed in case there's a vulture, so I can maybe get a surround on that. will intercept this SCV potentially before it gets back to the safety of the wall. That's a tiny win for him. Now we finally see a Sunken coming online as well. This was a long time until these vultures are actually making their way onto putting some pressure on, so it looks like it's going to be a 1-1-1 build. The question is now, is this going to be some kind of weird vulture drop? I don't think so. I think this is most likely going to be some kind of Valkyrie build variant, and I think these vultures are just going to try and slow down the third timing, as well as maybe go for a run by on this Sunken.
I'm surprised he didn't bring all 3 vultures together to do this. I mean, you can try to just run by like this, go behind the mineral patches, or try to run by up into the main. Killer pretty quick with the response there, because he saw it with the Overlord. He had a little bit of forewarning. So that's kind of playing into his favor. Royal not coming from a really good angle there, but it doesn't seem like this was the bulk of his plan. He's more angling towards this Valkyrie play, and so he's getting this starport online. He's got the armory now. He should be adding on turrets here soon, and with the Valkyries looking to shut down hard this upcoming Mutalisk attack, and then kind of swing things in his favor that way. Killer, will he fully commit to that though? Is he going to make a ton of mutas, or is he going to make, you know, 4 or 5 mutas and then switch into drones while adding on a couple of Scourge? That would be pretty strong against this.
I mean, if he anticipates the Valkyrie transition, he could even throw in 1 pair of Scourge with the initial mutas to try and get a snipe on that Valkyrie. If you can kill the first Valkyrie or 2, it's like gold dust. It really... There's the pair of Scourge. Okay, that's what we were looking for. If he can now get this first Valkyrie snipe, that's going to really set the tempo for him. The 1-1-1 build is very flimsy early on. Hardly any Marines, as you can see, and just 1 turret at each location. You can definitely dive on top of that and maybe get a snipe on this Valkyrie. If Royal's not careful, he has to keep darting that Valkyrie around to avoid connections from the Scourge. He's going to attempt to bomb that now. Can he get it? Scourge not quite in range to make it happen, but he's going to pounce on top of this turret and try and screen the Valkyrie with the pair of Scourge and force it to not get too many volleys of good micro though from Royal thus far, trying to get some slide micro. Is able to avoid connections thus far from those Scourge and will be able to hold.
Holds on. Very tight hold there from Royal. He's adding his barracks now, and Killer got some good damage from that. He killed some SCVs here, slowed down these barracks by quite a lot. Royal is lagging a bit behind. He didn't lose the Valkyries, so he's still got that point defense, and eventually there will be 2 and 3 Valkyries, which will completely shut this down. But Killer's already transitioning to Hydras. Is he just going to try to bum rush the front? This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I think he's going to make like 4 lurkers and then just try and bust the natural here. I mean, this could definitely work. Valkyries obviously don't shoot down or provide detection, so he's fully reliant on these first 2 scans and the range of his turrets to hold against this. And also a flooding of lings will make it a little bit harder for that bunker to actually target the lurkers as he comes in to bust. And the mutas will kind of just act as like tanks to soak up a little bit of damage. Seems like Royals identified this is going to be the kind of play coming his way. He's making a second safety bunker to try and hold on to this, but Killer with good target firing with those lurkers and execution with the Zerglings coming in could still break this.
Oh, I don't know if he can get the lings in here too well. He is going to be able to slip by. Where's the scan? No scan here, and so the bunker's going to go down really quickly. Nice pullback with the Marines, though, not losing those. Going to be able to get underground. No scan here. He used both scans. 1 scan in the main, 1 scan in the natural. He identified what was coming, but he's not able to push this back or save the wall in. The wall in goes down. Killer encroaching here into the natural. Is this too far? No, he's going to shove everything up this ramp, and he's going to really start to threaten the natural.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get these SCVs to safety as well, how the lurkers position. He's finally using a small window of the lurkers on borrowing and repositioning to get the majority of those SCVs to safety. But this is a lot of damage from Killer. The Valkyries need to be leveraged against some Overlords in the sky to try and put a supply block onto the Zerg. 1 Overlord will fall, but needs to start sharking around for more and more Overlords if he can help it. It's got more and more units going to be joining up with this as well. Scourge trying to stop that from occurring. Killer knows that these Valkyries will provide a lot of value in the air, so he's made 3 pairs of Scourge to stop them from being able to hunt down more Overlords and supply block him. We'll be able to slowly but surely clear out these lurkers to regain mining control in his natural expansion. I think this is a pretty good position from Royal. It's a little bit of damage done from Killer in terms of slowing down the mining and what have you, but it seems like Royal should be able to stabilize from this.
Yeah, I think he will stabilize. I mean, he's taken a lot of damage on this CC, kind of funnily enough. That thing is super, super low. It won't die though. Royal definitely going to lift that up before it goes down. Send some SCVs down there. He's just been waiting for a scanner to come online because he used both the scans initially, and then he used 2 scans to start to clear out the mutas, and then he lost the scanner. So he's only got 1 scan to work with. He is going to utilize that scan now. Coming in with the mutas, going to try and get a couple of Valkyries. He doesn't even get any connections with those Scourge. Oh, it's so rough, Xun. 100 HP on that command center, by the way. Oh my god, it still lives. Man. Oh, killer.
That's painful.
Ooh. That's a rough way to go down.
It's not looking good for Killer. I mean, you hate to see it. Bit unfortunate for him. I like the planning. It's not a bad, multi-layered, faceted cheese. I do get the idea and the thought process there from Killer. He just kind of botched the execution ever so slowly, and Royal responded just so well to that. Like, you have to give a bit of a clapper there to Royal. He really identified the cheese pizza that was going to be delivered to his door, and he had a tip waiting for him.
Yeah, he was ready for that for sure. I mean, using the secondary scan did cost him quite badly. He almost ended up breaking there, and Killer was really audacious running in with the lurkers after the fact, realizing that there wasn't going to be a scan for a few more seconds. Managed to push Roll up that ramp, but in the end couldn't get those connections he was looking for on the Valkyries. I think he still probably could have played it out a little bit longer. I mean, there was a possibility there he could have just sniped the CC with the mutas. It was so low. It was so crazy low. 100 HP, and it's burning at the same time as well. It would have been crazy if you would have killed that off, kind of equalize the position a little bit more and allow him to continue to play in that game, but didn't get anything out of those mutas, and he didn't have that transition back at home. That third base wasn't there. I thought he did have a Queen's Nest. Maybe he missed building the hive, though. We didn't get a shot of that main. Either way, he decided to tap out, and now we're here in game number 3 already, Xun. 2 games down. Killer on the ropes. Jump right in. Here we are. Killer in top left, Royal top right. Radon is our next map, and on this massive map, will Killer be able to take us to a later game, or does he have more cheese in store for Royal?
I mean, he might still be feeling a little bit cheesy. Maybe he's just not confident in his straight-up Zerg versus Terran play to take on someone of Royal's caliber. I think he's well aware that it is practice games. It hasn't gone so well against this guy, and we need to rely on some kind of shenanigans to make it work, and we might be seeing a repeat of that here today again, and even in game number 3. Yeah, I think Killer's that kind of guy, though. Killer's the kind of guy that will always have some kind of little mind game or execution-orientated play. It's just a matter of what it's going to be. It could be something really hard committal, like a 4-pull, or it could just be like, making a few extra speedlings in that early game phase where he's trying to catch the first 5-min push from the Terran or something like that. But he usually does go for some kind of ace up his sleeve kind of way of playing this matchup in particular to get one over his opponent. So we'll have to wait and see what it's going to be this time around.
A gas from Royal. And a wall in at the top of the ramp. Are we going to see 2 Stargate?
Or 2-port, you mean?
Yeah, 2-port, yes.
I think this might be a 2-port build. Especially with the wall in on the ramp does usually signify something like that. It could also be some kind of variation. It doesn't have to be 2-port raid. It could be, like 1-port into vulture drop or something crazy as well. But it's most likely going to be a 2-port rave build. We'll have to see.
Royal going to rely on finesse this game in one way or another to try and take down Killer. Secure his spot in the next round. Killer wants to find out about this as soon as possible. He's scouting way down to bottom right, and he's not going to find out about this until the factory is well underway.
Yeah, I mean, it's very common to do cross-map scouting if you're in killer's shoes and you're an execution-orientated player. You just want to rule out the fact that it's close positions or not as soon as possible. You'll see that in Terran versus Protoss as well. The Terran wants to know, is it close spawns or not, because it changes the range of play drastically, especially on massive maps like this, where it's like a 38 rush distance ramp to ramp from that cross-map position. And unfortunately, in this time around, it's going to hurt Killer a little bit, because it's going to take him extra long to get in here and scout what's going on, because he doesn't do a normal traditional Overlord scout. He wants to get a guaranteed Overlord scout by sending the first Overlord to the other side of the map at the 6 o'clock position, so we can either rotate it to the left or the right to get into the natural the Terran, which means the second Overlord's the one that's going horizontal to check this. So he only found out at the last possible moment. And it is going to be some sort of 1-1-1 build, actually, with a very fast command center rather than just going straight into 2-port. So this will throw Killer off a little bit, because he doesn't know if this is going to be a mech play or just a 1-1-1 build.
Well, this could still be 2-port. It's just with the CC coming up. It is a more macro-focused one. Killer won't be under as much pressure here early. We'll still need the sunken colony, but there's going to be a little time. Armory. Valkyrie is going to be coming up here, I think. Either that or straight mech? What are we seeing here, Sean?
Yeah, it's one of those two. It's either delayed Valkyrie or just straight up mech. It's most likely could just be a mech build. It depends on if he throws down the starport or second factory here. I think it might be the starport for 1-1-1 Valkyrie. Oh no, it's factory. Okay, it's mech.
Alright. Full mech. Coming out of Royal. He's going to control this game completely. Tilt it towards a certain direction. Killer will have to respond. Doesn't really have a choice in the matter. As the Zerg player, you're kind of forced to do whatever your opponent decides in this matchup. If they want to play Marine Medic, you got to play a certain way. If they want to play Mech, you just have to play along. And Killer is figuring this out. Now he's trying to chase down this Vulture, this initial Vulture, and he's doing a pretty good job of it so far. Can he get the full surround? There it is. He does finish that off. Pretty good trade there for Killer, who can now come across the map and kind of threaten here in the natural. If he picks up like a Goliath or two right off the bat, it's crazy how quick things can just fall out of control for Royal.
You know, this is actually a problem for Royal. He has to evacuate his natural. Like, there's no way he can hold this natural with one Goliath. He has to surround the Goliath with the SCVs to repair it and body block, which will deny some mining time here. Picking up 2 SCVs, can he get a third? Pretty good job from Killer. 4th even. This is great SCV damage. Really big mistake here from Royal to try and fight this at the bottom of the ramp. And now the Goliath gets sniped. This is a crazy blunder from Royal. He's just throwing away so much of his lead. If he just held the ramp instead and waited for a second or third Goliath to pop out before going back to mine. Look, he's going back to mine with 4 SCVs. Like, you can't say that was a good hold from him.
No, definitely not. And just the one Goliath would be a lot, but all those SCVs going down as well. This is a dangerous situation for Royal. He is going to be under a huge amount of pressure here. Killer not ending on any more hatches, and staying light on those drones is going to have a big Mutalisk timing to come in, and he is going to deny this first turret as well. Oh boy, this is getting really dangerous here. I think that we're going to see Killer take a game finally.
I think so. I mean, he's got the engineering bay floating with Karen boosters, so he's not going to just like walk over Royal here, but he's definitely got a sizable lead to start to leverage. Goliaths are actually going to be running back into the main to try and, you know, circumnavigate, dealing with those mutas in the natural and try and catch them in the main, because he knows there's no turret timing in the main. That's why Killer's coming up to his top right pocket. He's killing more and more of these SCVs and denying mining time every time they slide away from the mutas. So already pretty sizable damage has been done to Royal, and Killer's getting a third base up behind this, so he'll have more and more gas available to him. Currently able to produce up to 6 mutas a minute. Once he gets that third gas, it becomes 9 mutas a minute, and suddenly we'll start outscaling the Terran.
Yeah, these type of situations from the Terran, I find they tend to just go lean towards the 5 factory style when things go wrong like this in the early game, and just try to kill you. It's very rare that you get a bunch of early damage going on a meching player, and then they go, you know what, I'm gonna, you know, get into a starport science facility and get that mech, the upgrade Terran going. That's the thing that we have, or that you have to identify here as the Zerg player that Killer is going to be looking for. Is it going to be that up next style? Is it going to be a bunch of factories and a big push? I would already be leaning towards a big push.
Yeah, I call it tech mech. It's definitely a style you have to already be in a good position to go for. You're just too flimsy with a low count of units to hold if you go for something like that. I guess you could do some wonky variation, stay on 2 factories and get Valkyries out, but that's very mineral heavy and you don't really feel too strong while doing so. If there's a transition from the Zerg and they do a lurker bust or what have you, you're just straight up dead if you go for a play like that. So there's no real easy answer here from Royal. He's going to probably even struggle to produce on 2 factories of how low his count of SCVs has been. He's been churning out non-stop SCV production on 2 of these CCs and slowly recovering. But now we got a whole stack of mutas ready to swinging for round 2 and maybe going to be getting more and more snipes on that mineral line.
And yeah, I mean, Valkyrie Goliath is just terrible. And it's even more, it's worse even more because of course he's going to be going for Air Carapace here. Like there's no other upgrade to go for as Killer if you're just going to be making mutas like this. Air Carapace is definitely coming. And then, you know, you might say, oh, well, let's just get another armory and get air weapons. But yeah, I'm not talking Yushin, but somebody out there might be saying that, and like you just can't afford that. Or there's going to be so many mutas at that point, so much power for the Zerg player. It's just not going to work out for you. So he's sticking with pure Goliath here. He barely pushes this back, but he loses some more Goliath. So you can just see the power here of the pure Mutalist player just diving on top of all of these Goliaths and wiping them out one by one. It's too much. Royal is going to tap out, and Killer takes a game finally here in this series.
I mean, hopefully that does it for his mojo and he can start fighting back strong against Royal. But that definitely was more Royal's blunder than Killer's success in that game. I mean, it's not too hard to surround a slow vulture out on the map with speedlings. The main mistake there was from Royal trying to push down to the low ground with his SCVs and just one single Goliath. He had no reason to do that. He can just, you know, camp on the ramp with those SCVs to block, wait for the second Goliath to pop out, and then start to resecure his natural in a much more safer fashion. Unfortunately, allowed Killer to overwhelm him a bit unnecessarily. So definitely is not a strong mech player in my opinion. Royal just way better at that bio build or 1-1-1 Valkyrie builds. He's very adept at with his Valkyrie control. I don't want to see him go for mech again.
Well, let's see what he has in mind. We're jumping into our next game, guys. That's going to be Dominator. And here it is. Dominator with Royal down in bottom left, Killer over here in top left. Let me just check. Whose map pick was this? Because I already forgot. This was... Oh. This was...
Royal.
Killer.
Was it Royal's pick? Oh, Killer's pick.
Killer's pick here. We're jumping into this one, guys. Killer over here. What does he have in store for us? And will Royal default back into that bio play that he's so well known for?
You know, I'm surprised this is Killer's pick because, I mean, this is a map that actually slightly favors Terran. So this is interesting. I wonder if there's something special that Killer's got planned on this. It might just be because he knows there's some spots that are easier to abuse with Mute. So let's play, and he is a very micro-orientated player. And Killer and Royal did get the worst position possible in the bottom left. This dead space behind the mineral line is so easy to exploit for Zerg. We've talked about it a lot. Killer's getting the second worst position for Terran up here in the top left with how the gas is wider, but even though the gas is easier to defend with turrets in the main base, it's mainly this dead space behind the mineral line in the main that's the problem for Terran players, and Zerg can also abuse the ramp area and keep swinging between the natural and the main over and over again and cause an absolute nightmare. And it's also harder to place your tech buildings as Terran, which is the most important factor, because usually this dead space behind the mineral lines is where you'd want to build things like starports and what have you. So it's very easy for Zerg players to abuse the tech timings by sniping building SCVs as well, and it's very difficult to get all your turrets covering both your mineral lines and your tech buildings at the same time.
Well said, Xun. This is a tough spot for Terran for sure. We have to survive the early game though. Killer already opening up here with 12 hatchery, has a pretty reasonable position to get into that gas now and move towards that 2-hatch Muta style. Let's see if he's got what it takes to pull apart Royal with that initial Mutalist play. It seemed like his timings were pretty good in that last game, and the control was looking quite nice with the target fire from the Lings and then the Mutalist follow-up. It felt like he had a pretty good handle on his Mutalist control, but
yeah,
Royal is also very good with his Marine control and being in the right place at the right time, hitting those stims and target firing. He's not to be messed with.
Yeah, there's a few niche things that Killer actually does better than some of the best Zergs in the world, especially in versus Protoss. His Muta Scourge control versus Corsairs early game is one of the best in the world in terms of like sniping probes while the Scourge keep darting in and out to zone out the Corsairs. He's one of the best in the business at doing those little niche plays. So when it does come to these high execution orientated styles early game, he is one of the best in the business at making that work. It's not his strongest matchup by any stretch of the imagination, but utilizing those tricks of the trade, he can get one over the best Terrans in history. So I have to see if he's able to equalize things against Royal here and take it to a final match. And on Dominator, I mean, it's difficult to keep track of the Terran bio in the mid game. So I have to imagine he's going to want to take the driver's seat and really put the pressure on this early Mutalist play.
There's the Spire. It's already been spotted here, Royal. Well aware of what's coming. But can he stop it? I'm interested to see the turret positioning he's going to choose for this difficult location. He's already putting his barracks in kind of a standard spot right over by that ramp. You want to place them there because you're going to be covering those with turrets, and you want to be able to simultaneously cover the barracks and the ramp at the same time, because the ramp is a really big problem for the Marine defender. If you're ever on one side of the ramp and the mutas are at the other side with some Lings, then you have to come down or up that ramp. It's going to be a problem. So he wants to control that area at the same time, but he can't cover everything. He is absolutely going to have some holes here, and we'll see if Killer can exploit those.
Absolutely. He's shown Ling speed here to Royal, trying to threaten run-bys and counterattacks, but Royal's kind of calling his bluff and is saying, well, I don't think you've actually got that many Lings waiting for me to surround this. I've scanned your natural. I see that you've got a lot of drones mining, which means there's not a lot of Lings out on the map. That's one of the biggest things for Terran, is to scan and see how many drones have been made. They can kind of figure it out. Okay, if you've got this many drones, that means you got this many Lings. So that's a good way of being able to go out onto the map, push a bit of a threat the Zerg's way, and force these two Sunkens and slow down the economic prowess of the Zerg player. Killer, though, opting for a 2.5 hatch this time around, so definitely going to be optimizing for lava production anyway. So we'll be able to recover that a little bit of early game deficit overall.
I like the bunker there at the front. It's not very well covered. And there is quite a bit of space that Killer could have used to surround and kill that bunker a little bit later on, but it's still nice to have to just keep those supply depots at the front slightly defended.
Yeah.
Got some more turrets on the way here, and he's starting to place the turrets on the right-hand side. Maybe thinking that if Killer dives all the way back into that corner, then he can counterattack, and Killer will be forced to fly out of that location, maybe at the cost of some mutas.
Yeah, with the two Sunkens made back at home, Killer's going to be feeling a lot more comfortable being hyper-aggressive with these mutas now, knowing that the counterattacks will be slightly more easily thwarted if he needs to do so. If Royal does just pull the trigger on ignoring the mutas and goes for a counterattack. Third base going to be on the way soon here for Killer. Drone just waiting for the minerals to tick by. We'll be throwing that down soon, but seems like he's optimizing for slightly more Mutalisks initially, so we can put the pressure on again. There's that armory, so definitely going to be opting for Valkyrie, the heavy style here, is Royal, knowing that Killer's Mutalisk control is just a little bit too adept to go pure SK, and it would be better for him to exploit his skills. He's very good at using the slide micro on that Valkyrie to essentially make it shoot backwards and get maximum value out of those missiles.
He's been pretty insistent on building Valkyries this game, or this series, excuse me, aside from that one mech game. Making a lot of Valkyries. I guess also the 4-pool game didn't get into Valkyries, but Both these other two going into Valkyrie, just kind of countering Killer hard. It's been working out for him, and I think the Killer sees that armory and probably not too happy about it. He knows that he needs to get some value out of these Mutalisks here soon before that Valkyrie starts to punish.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what actually occurs in this game now, because it's going to come down mainly to micro, because it seems like there's enough Mutalisks here to start leveraging and killing at least, like, 6 or so SCVs. He's going to rotate around to this main base pocket we were talking about earlier. If he gets on top of the Valkyrie, there's going to be huge. Just 2 more swipes. Only gets 1 additional swipe. Be careful with that Valkyrie though, Royal. 1 more swipe and it will fall. He's being a little bit brazen right now with it. Maybe he's also trying to bait the Mutalisks into this bio to try and get some good value trades going. If he gets 1 or 2 more volleys off with those Halo cluster rockets off the Valkyrie, he can make these mutas more and more bruised and make it harder for Killer to keep fighting. Hasn't been able to secure the first kill on that Valkyrie. Once the second pops out, Royal's going to start outscaling the Zerg. He's trying to bait these Mutalisks around with the Valkyrie, but can he get connections on that? Does manage to pick that Valkyrie off at long last. Kind of equalizes the game state a little bit here. Usually picking up the Valkyrie would be such a huge win for Zerg, but in this case, did take a little bit of bruising onto those Mutalisks, and the Valkyrie did essentially achieve its goal.
Transition is underway here for Killer. He's looking to get these lurkers going, but might have a small window of opportunity. Royal pushing across the map right now. Not sure how many sunken colonies are on that high ground at the third base. We got 2 here in the natural, and Killer, was he, paying too much attention to his mutas? Did he miss any beats in this build that Royal can find a way to exploit? Looks like some lurkers here on the high ground. They're going to be popping out here as the Marines push up this ramp. He goes ahead and surrounds those 2 lurkers, kills them off immediately. Valkyrie here standing and fighting, and everything just gets wiped out. Oh, Killer just barely not having enough to clean this. He is going to pull some lurkers forward. Looks like he might be able to get on top of this, but a lot of damage has already been done, getting rid of all the initial lurkers, and now can run into the mineral line. Some drones are going to go down as well. If he could just clear this out a little bit more cleanly, get a few of these drones to survive, he would be okay, but he's going to lose another lurker here. No, that lurker does survive, albeit on low HP. All the drones are gone, though, and this damage has been done. Royal here getting in at just that one little moment right before Killer was ready.
Yeah, if Killer just cycled those drones over to the gas to put them to a slightly more safer position and then leapfrogged the lurkers over a teeny tiny bit, he would have at least avoided losing 4 or 5 drones there. Definitely, certainly giving a bit of win to the sails of Royal. Did take down that Terran force, so it's not like Killer's just going to straight up die here. He has got a full transition underway, but now a Vulture attack is also trying to come into this pocket, kills a few more drones, denies mining at this third base, and is siphoning off more economic potential for Killer as the game progresses, while Killer's back at home, going to be taking his mineral only.
All right, Killer coming up with a lot of lings right here. Gonna get a full surround on these Marines. Can he actually wipe them out? Wow, he will wipe all of these out. And the Vulture bikes are gonna be able to gun down the majority of those, but reasonable trade. They're getting rid of some of these Marines now. Is this a full transition into bio? It doesn't seem so. He's gonna continue producing off of these 2 factories. Maybe get into a bit of tank Marine play after setting up some mines out here on the map.
Yeah, I think this might be a more biomech orientated style here from Royal. It's possible he'll even go into a full mech transition as the game progresses. It depends. He could just stay on 3 factory worth of tank production and bio, or he can make a full transition. But getting in here again to the third base with these vultures and killing more of these drones, this is actually a really big deal. There is not that much lava available to Killer to constantly make drones and units, which means the counterattacks of Killer are going to be that much weaker if he's constantly replenishing the drones on the mineral lines. So definitely providing a lot of breathing room now to Royal to get his economy in full swing. We'll be double expanding, taking the 6 o'clock gas expansion as well, intercepting the Defilers out on the map, preventing potential counterattacks. These Lings are sharking around. They could get a cancel on this base at the 6 o'clock if he scouts it out.
I thought we were missing something. I was wondering where those lurkers were. He's going to come running in right to the mineral line, see if he can get some big volleys here initially. Ooh, very good volleys there, actually killing off quite a few SCVs. This is some good compensation for Killer, and now he should be able to run down south and deal with that 6 o'clock. Okay, actually, I think there's vultures down there that are going to be denying that, so can't make it over to that position. Looks like these lurkers all going to fall with those irradiates there, dealing with that this little attack from Killer. I mean, how much momentum is that actually giving to Killer here? He's already been slowed down so much. Can he still bring this one back?
It's going to be tough, still saying, but it's definitely giving him a little bit of a lifeline. Oh, he loses the Defiler. Look how active Royal's being with these vultures. He did get a slowdown on that 6 o'clock command center. One single Zergling, while the rest of the Lurkerling forces made its way into the mineral-only base. So did get a little bit of slowdown on the expansion timings of Royal, but still a very Royal-favored game right now. I mean, Killer has all the tech that he needs. He's just not able to bring it to bear or produce enough units to really threaten Royal, and suddenly the map going to be engulfed by so many mines to sandbag the attempts of Killer to set up counterattacks, as well as provide valuable scouting information for Royal on how to intercept those. And being this active with the vultures is really keeping Royal into the driver's position right now.
It's hard to do anything except for just try to walk around with these Hydras and Overlords, try to clear out some vultures. You can't like switch directly into Mutas too easily right now. It's a nice block there on the ramp, but of course that egg will eventually fall. This trade not that good for Royal, but he's just keeping the pressure on Killer, keeping him back constantly, and doesn't really have a good option. If you go into Mutalist right now, the Irradiates will rip you to pieces, and Royal's continuing to build anti-air. He's just focusing on vultures. I think he's still got everything inside the main. No, he did float out the barracks. Full mech transition. There it is.
Yeah.
Finally, we get the shot of the main. So it is just total mech here from Royal. This is going to be very hard for Killer to deal with, being that he's on 4 base, or he's on 3 base, and Royal is on 4.
This is the strongest way to play mech. It's just hard to execute, but it seems like Royal has done a pretty stellar job in this game. He's now got enough mines to kind of hold the line while he starts to trickle over siege tanks. Needs to be careful though. If Killer starts to break the few siege tanks that are available, he could threaten the rally point. That is still quite a large force of Zerg. Not that many more mines waiting for him. If it's predominantly vultures to deal with, eventually he could encroach on these Terran positions and start to break Royal. Needs to snipe these last 2 remaining siege tanks. Vultures trying desperately to screen against these Hydras while the tanks do the heavy lifting with that arc-like shot cannon. Is starting to go. There's a massive mine connection though, and that should save the day for Royal and prevent any critical damage done to the rally point area.
Yeah, that mine connection, absolute catastrophe here for Killer, and he will tap out after that. Failed attack goes south. Royal stomping through Killer's attempts to break him here and stomping his way on into that next round of the SCSL. Guys, that is that. Royal advances just like that. That was a quick series here, maybe the quickest of the round of 16.
It was. Yeah, it was really quick. I mean, a lot of these matches will be quick just because they're single best of 5 series. That means Royal going to be going through to that next round against Snow. I'm sure that will be a very interesting matchup, and probably not as quick as some of these other games we've had. I mean, Snow kind of just bowled over True. True only had a good chance against him with that 2-gate on the middle of Dominator, where he was able to hold that pretty exceptionally well with his Zergling control early game. But besides that, got absolutely decimated by Snow. I think that Snow versus Royal in that next round going to be a much more evenly paced matchup and will be taking us a further distance.
Yeah, that should be a really good match, actually. That will be a lot of fun, guys. But up next, let me get you guys a visual here. It's going to be Action versus Sharp, and that'll be coming out actually on Sunday. We're going to be casting that live here, and let me pull this up before I let you guys go.
There we go. Okay, that's what we got, by the way. So, look at that. So we got Action versus Sharp, then Hero versus Mong, Best versus JYJ, Barracks versus Ruin, Rush versus Tyson, and then finally Bishop, the random player, against Saxry. Still many great matchups here coming in the following weeks. I'm super excited to see how these brackets pan out. And in that next round of 8, it will be best of 7s, not best of 5s. So not only the strongest contenders remaining, but much longer drawn out series of epic fights. So I'm super stoked to get this full tournament bracket underway.
Yeah, I think anyone could probably predict these first couple of matches. Snow versus True. Obviously, Snow should be the favorite to win there. True, definitely the underdog. Royal should be the favorite as well. Killer, the underdog. But Action versus Sharp, that could go either way, guys. That'll be a really interesting match. And of course, Hero versus Hmong, that's probably one-sided. Maybe, probably going to be Hero going through the next one. It's a little unfortunate for Hmong, my buddy there. TVP specialist meeting Hero in the round of 16 is a little bit rough, but probably Hero will be going through, and we might get a ZVZ Action versus Hero, which could be a lot of fun. Or, of course, Hero versus Sharp would also be awesome.
Yeah, it all depends on how in-form Action's being. He's been a little bit hit and miss in recent times. I think he kind of lost his mojo for a while and kind of went into a bit of a slump. But he has, unironically, some of the best defiler control in the entire scene. He's crazy good, and his decision-making can be next level. It's just that he's kind of fell into a teeny bit of a slump in recent times. I'm hoping he can establish himself yet again and give Sharp a run for his money. Sharp's been also a very strong up-and-coming Terran. We've had our eyes on him for quite a while now, and we're kind of stoked to see him and his improvements over the years, looking like he could potentially win an ASL in the future if he maintains current trajectory. Might take him a while, but he's certainly capable of doing it, especially if he maintains his motivation to practice. He does seem like a bit of a hard worker. Hero versus Hmong, like you say, though, definitely probably going to be going Hero's way. Hmong just not good at TVZ at all. So I'd be curious to see if we do end up getting that mirror matchup. I do imagine Best will beat JYJ. I think that Barracks should beat Ruin unless there's a little bit of an upset there. Barracks is very adept in his mechanics. Rush should absolutely smash Tyson. And I think Bishop will get the better of Saxory, especially with that random obfuscation advantage.
Yeah, that'll be definitely quite interesting. Bishop, that random player in Group 8. And I haven't casted a ZVZ with you for quite a while. Both of us, if you guys don't know, both of us are Zerg players and play a lot of ZVZ on the ladder. And have kind of a deeper understanding of ZVZ than maybe you guys are used to. So if I know it's not a fan favorite, most of you guys aren't really into ZVZ, but if it does come down to that ZVZ matchup, Hero versus Action, you guys should definitely give it a chance. Come check out our coverage of that, guys, and check out that next matchup, Action versus Sharp. We're going to be casting it on SCTV EN, and that'll be coming on Sunday. I guess that's the 15th of June at 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So if you guys want to hop in, come hang out with us, chat with us. We are live right now. We don't really have anybody in the chat. Well, maybe there's a few of you guys in here who just haven't been talking, but we do appreciate all of you guys who come and watch live. And then we'll be watching the Hero versus Hmong on Thursday. So we're trying to keep that schedule. I did have something come up, so I do need to switch it over to Sunday this week. But from then on, we're going to be doing Monday and Thursday. So it's going to be very consistent and a lot of fun. That's it. I think that's it. Xun, got anything last to say?
That's it. Oh, we also do KCM on Fridays at the same time. If you do want to come check that out, the race series, it's really fun to cast and watch. You don't get any mirror matchups as well. I know a lot of you guys don't like watching mirror matchups. Well, you certainly aren't going to get any watching the KCM. So go check that out. The VODs for that are uploaded to Saiyan's YouTube channel as well. I've been John with me, Saiyan, and we've been having a lot of fun bringing you the SCSL cast as well as some of these other great events. And we look forward to bringing you more and more of that coverage in times to come. Thank you, guys.
And don't forget to support the SCSL Patreon. We